Hello, everyone. This is Faheem Jackson, and this is episode 99 of my podcast show, In the Know. This podcast is aimed at trying to guide people through the world with a variety of topics. I am using this platform to ask questions and try my best to answer these questions with my viewpoints of the world around me. The following episode introduction speech is for the topic of today, and that introduction speech is regarding what if you marry or should you marry someone of a different religious background? Most people in our society marry someone from their own religious background, and the idea of being with someone from the outside is still not a norm. But the country is changing this narrative, even if the rest of the world is not. Now, depending on the two religions that come together, their inability to come together is a reality as well. For example, a Jew and a Muslim getting married in holy matrimony. This can be quite divisive of a relationship, especially once the two families come and meet. Now, in America, which is a mainly Christian nation, you have for the most part people marrying within their religion. As for the groups of people that are non Christian, then they could potentially or may have to be open to marrying outside their religious belief. Reason being is that depending on what culture you may come from, you could be a small minority. And here's where I will go into the first part of this week's episode: the importance of culture. And religion is very intricate in people and their overall identity. What about choosing to be with someone given they have a different religious background? Here's where things get to be quite touchy, since people tend to be very protective of their culture. And in my opinion, depending on the religion, you can actually make this work. I will discuss this more in depth in the next few passages. But I would say that the main importance of having a culture would have to be language, the ability to communicate. With religion as a focal point for this episode, importance to culture gives your life meaning. It allows you to turn over all your problems to God, long as that was your belief. Other beliefs feel like the human is in full control, so they have to aim at fixing their own situation. This is what leads me into the next section regarding marrying someone from a different culture, and that is religious differences from both people, which tends to get in the way when raising children, especially. Differences. When you have two people who are from different religions who decide to get married in holy matrimony, then you have to have conversations. Conversations that must be had even prior to marriage. Even before the engagement, these talks should take place regarding religion. Because depending upon how you were raised, there could be some clashing. For example, if you're Jewish and the other person is Islamic, there could be some problems regarding how the family will establish, how the family will be established, and what the children will be practicing. I don't see them arguing because if they made it this far as marriage, then they worked out a lot of their kinks already. But what I am saying is that things you don't foresee might creep into play later. What do I mean by that? Well, this is what I mean. You become your parents as a parent yourself. This could result in being overbearing in your relationships, creating a teeter-totter situation, meaning one side is up in the air and the other is on the ground. But this is just differences in the religion. What about the families? How do families see their children from separate faiths tying the knot? Because the families want to see their children happy, but the culture is more important than the happiness. If you grew up in a predominantly Christian household, some parents tend to push you in that direction by raising you around like-minded people. When I say Christianity, people in America grow up in certain sects of Christianity, What is a sect? Well, Lutheran, Baptist, Catholic, Pentecostal, and Protestant Episcopalian. And with this many sects of one group, oh yes, there are many others. You can guess that there is a wide group of people to choose from. Yet your child may have decided to go elsewhere. Your parents could feel a certain way, like you're turning on your faith base that they raised you with. But it could simply mean that the child has an attachment that outreaches how they were raised. What about some personal views? Now, the personal views of people who decided to step into this matrimony position is a mixture of so many emotions. One of the emotions is that someone has to has one of the emotions that someone has a need to be accepted. Do you really want to marry someone different when most of your peers are marrying someone similar to or the same? We tend to want to belong to the group. This will make you stand out in not a good way, or they could stand out and be in a space where they are unique as well, simply because they have the best of both worlds. So you have to look at things from both perspectives when deciding if you're going to proceed forward. With that said, let's transition into my next area where I talk about my personal views. From my standpoint, I absolutely think that two people who come together make the religions work. Because I look at religion as no more than a template as for how someone should be living their lives. Now, there are a lot of people who would disagree with my stance, especially considering religion is how people aim to understand their existence on this earth. So imagine someone is saying how your religious beliefs is nothing more than a basic template. But I can't help how my mind works. These are my views. But to others, it is much more than something basic. Then again, I've gone over so many views from family to the people getting married already in this episode. Let's observe the societal views of how religion has its impacts on marital decisions. From the standpoint of society, most people are more and more likely starting to turn away from religion. But for a new generation that wants to stick with religion, you have a more accepting age group. This generation is most likely to bring two separate groups together and raise a family. But in general, there will be challenges in bringing people together. What are people going to think when, for instance, let's use the above example I already gave, a Jew and a Muslim walk up the street together? What will people say? Will society engage or remain silent? The reason for me using these two groups is because they are so polarizing in society. What is the state of religion within marriage? As it pertains to jumping the broom, religion has been going away rapidly over the years. The millennial generation is a small group of married people, and not that many people are practicing a religious faith base. What does it mean for the direction of a family? Because religion has been guiding light for so many families over the course of thousands of years. So now that is going to go away. What is next for families that are looking for guidance? Because, of course, people won't be aimlessly wandering around without proper guidance. I mean, come on now, they still have parents. What I will say is that it is through religion that the moral fiber of families have been kept together from centuries of religious practice. Now what? Where do we go from here? Is it still important? How important is the idea of religion in marriage today? Is religion necessary in marriage? For me, I still think there is a place for religion in marriage. And when it comes to different religions that might marry into each other, it's a challenge, but can still work. But who knows? A future generation might reemerge with a whole entire outlook on religions and incorporating them into their marriages. And with so many different cultures blending together, practicing multiple faith base could be the new wave of the future. Or two people could come together and realize that both religions are not necessarily useful. This is when there's a fear of the cultures falling apart. And I get it. Families and communities never want to see their cultures fail. But ending religion may be inevitable, not because I want it to go away, but simply from the readings becoming too antiquated. And with this end statement, while we have to know if people from different religions should or shouldn't marry, this is a topic that has people speculating whether this union will work or not. Because for the longest, if you didn't find someone in your cultural realm, you most likely were going to live out your life alone. Life is not like that today. You can marry a Christian when you grow up Buddhist. You can be Islamic and marry an atheist. Well, maybe not marrying an atheist, but you see where I'm going with this. Now, as we move through the future, the idea of basing your marriage on religion is becoming less necessary. So where do we go? Because I think it's rather irrelevant if two cultures come together, me personally. To me, they make your marriage stronger with two different cultures. So, thanks for listening to In the Know. And I'll be bringing you another episode regarding religion. The topic will be asking the question, why is religion the inspiration for so much feuding